Happy Thursday evening, everybody, and welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Glad to have you with us for some racing action on a Thursday night. We're going limited Xfinity Series racing with Sim 500 live on Turn 1. And we're at Darlington. Under the lights, the sun's setting here tonight. Glenn Campbell on the pole, Mike Montesi, Johnny Barker gonna start third, Joey Jatina, Doug Roth, Joe Hudson, Ron Holyfield, Cody DeForge, and Shannon Wood, Kevin Stone, your top 10 as we get ready to roll off the grid here in just a moment. Again, welcome to Turn 1. This is going to be a new series. We're here for the next 6 weeks with the limited Xfinity Series crew. We'll talk more about what that means, but you're going to see a lot of new names from the Sim 500 group up front with this Thursday night series, so we're glad you're with us. If you haven't already done so, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do what you need to do to get connected to Turn 1 each and every week, because guess what? We are here, like I said, for the next 6 races or so on Thursday nights, kicking it off here for the limited Xfinity Series. Pace car gets rolling, and again, we get going here at Darlington. The Lady in Black, it's going to be a wild race here. Under the lights, the track's going to be changing. The sun's going to be going down. We're going to put up 120 laps here tonight. 2 sets of tires, limited on fuel, only 75% full fuel allowed to be taken here. So this will be interesting to see how the pit strategy plays out and how things shake loose under the lights here at Darlington. Side by side, they get rolling down the backstretch one final time before we cut them loose. Taking a look a little further back, it's RB Turner starting 11th, Doug Sigmund, Jeff Kay, Eli Raposa, John Fowler, Richard Swavely, Rick Kennedy Jr., James Smith, Charles Woods, and Jimmy Coleman, your top 20. 27 cars qualifying here tonight. Get ready to cut some laps up. They're going to happen really quick. We got some notables. Mike Montesi was fast all throughout practice. We'll have to see if he's got the pace to get up front here after it's all said and done. Pace car down pit road, into the start zone they go. The limited Xfinity Series is live on Turn 1. Off into 1 and 2 they go for the first time here tonight. Single file, your top 3, Jatina is going to slide up to that third place spot. He's going to look underneath Mike Montesi now. Screams by him down the backstretch. It's going to be down on the bottom into 3 and 4. And Jatina not going to stop there. He's going to get quickly to the back bumper of Glenn Campbell to complete lap 1, but Campbell's going to lead it. Looking back behind Montesi, it's another 3-car back. That's Barker, Roth Holyfield sitting there. Then it's Joe Hudson, Cody DeForge, Shannon Wood, and Kevin Stone, your top 10. Most of the field here single filed out early, and this is going to be the norm here at Darlington. You've got to preserve those tires. It's going to be a bit of a longer run here, if it will be a longer run. You do not want to overdrive the car early, and these drivers know they've got to manage it as Jatina starts to look underneath Campbell as they come across the stripe here. That's lap number 2 in the books of 120. Clicking them off here pretty quick, right at a 30-second mark. We were talking about Mike Montesi right at the beginning of this broadcast, and, well, something to note, he just ran the fastest lap of the race so far, setting it early, a 30.07 for that's 4-car. Mike Montesi here in the early going tonight. Again, single file through the top 10. You're not missing too much there. Taking a look a little further back, that's a side-by-side move. That's Charles Woods. It looks like he got up into the wall a little bit. That car got tight. He's actually going to lose. I believe that was, no, I'm sorry, who was that? That may have been John Higman. Either way, now, we take a look. That's the 10 actually there. James Smith and Paul Crumry just behind him in the 12. Everybody else, again, as I mentioned, single filed out. We look back up here up front, and Montesi just put up another fast lap, 29.77 out of the 4. But Joey Jatina all over the back bumper now of Glenn Campbell as they work through 3 and 4. You'll see these drivers tonight carving up different places all over the racetrack. They're going to enter low, let the car ride up the track, as you saw right there out of our front 3. And then they're going to drive down the track, straighten out that corner exit so they can get back to the throttle pretty quickly. But Darlington here, this track is, both ends are completely different. 3 and 4, the much wider, or the radius is widened out. A little bit of a tighter turn in 1 and 2. So these drivers are trying to navigate that, and keep in mind, again, this is a fixed setup, but it's very much a driver's car and a driver's track, Darlington. It's one of those places you hear myself and Kevin England with the Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series calls on Monday night say it's a driver's track, and Darlington is every bit of a driver's track you're going to get on the NASCAR circuit. Out of 3 and 4 they go. Campbell leading them all so far here tonight with the Unlimited Xfinity Series and Sim 500. Jatina sitting P2, Montesi, Barker, Roth, your top 5. And it's getting a little racy back here. That's Richard Swavely in the 32, squeezing by the 04 of Doug Sigmund. Swavely on his way forward. He's up 4 spots on the night in that 32 car, sitting now 11th. Making his way through the field here early. Another driver worth talking about between Paul Crummer he's sitting 18th right now in the 12 car, but also Tyler Lemon just behind him. He's up 3 spots, sitting 19th. So a couple movers and shakers starting to drive through the field here as they work lap number 9 of 120. Cars are starting to change already. Lap time's starting to fall off just a little bit. We saw those fast laps being the 29.7s, low 29.8s, and now last time by 30.2s, 30.3s for the top 10. So already half a second lost in tire fall off, and what is looking to be a little bit of a green flag run early here tonight at Darlington. We talked earlier about, we mentioned earlier how you may see some names that maybe you're not used to seeing here on Turn 1 with the Sim 500 group, and that's okay. We've got gentlemen like Mike Montesi, Joey Jatina, Glenn Campbell. Those are our regulars. But Johnny Barker, Cody DeForge, Shannon Wood, Richard Swavely, we've seen him a couple times. But R.B. Turner, he's new. John Fowler, Jeff Kay, as he's right there on in that 41 car. It looks like Tyler Lemon's going to squeeze by, but a couple drivers here you're not seeing, and that's because this group is targeting a subset of drivers. There is a I rating cap for this series, and I believe it's 2,800 I rating or lower. So it gives an opportunity for some of the guys that may not have as much time and they just kind of settled in on where they are from an I rating perspective to come out and race like like-minded individuals or similar rated individuals. As we see the 23 and the 69 going at it right there. That is Joe Hudson and Cody DeForge side by side, working out of turn number 2 there. And this is where you're going to see a lot of these passes here, as now you see the 17 trying to squeeze by. That's Kevin Stone. That 69 of DeForge was just kind of out of shape, out of line there. We're not able to get it picked back up, and now he's going to be under pressure by the 2. That's Wood looking underneath, looking to pick a spot. And DeForge now, all of a sudden, in one lap, losing 2 to 3 spots here. Wood's going to fall in line as they work out of turn 2, but not the lap Cody DeForge wanted to see in that 69 car. But as I was talking about some names that we don't normally see, that's because these drivers get an opportunity to come out here and race with similar rated drivers. And well, guess what? We've seen that here. So a lot of fun here, a different aspect of this with that I rating cap. And you see some names running really strong in this series. And if you would like to get on board with these guys, come check them out. Maybe run with them on these Thursday nights. It's a very short season. Another 6 races remain. Head on over to sim500.com for more information on the Limited Xfinity Series. Glenn Campbell leads them all so far here tonight at Darlington. Lap number 15. Started on the pole, had a decent practice session in that 44, but was not as quick as Mike Montesi was, but man, he picked it up in qualifying. and was able to really step up the game. And now out front here, almost a full second over Joey Jatina, who came in hot. Joey made up 2 spots almost immediately, was up there to the back bumper of Campbell by the end of lap 2. And now Jatina's sitting P2, but nearly a full second off the pace of our leader. And then, as I mentioned, Montesi, he's actually got that car up a little bit higher than everybody else, and you see him riding that apex, they're diamonding off the corner quite a bit. He's up almost up against that wall. Let's see if he does it down here at 3 and 4. Is actually not going to scoop it in too high, but he's going to let it ride up the racetrack about a lane off the wall and then get it straightened back up here. But Montesi was very quick. He set some of the fastest laps so far here tonight, but hasn't been able to find much more ground other than that third place spot. And that's that contact, that's that maneuver I was talking about there, where he slides up the racetrack quite a bit and is looking for any bit of pace he can and running that car up against the wall. Hey, Robert Van Nest, we appreciate you tuning in on Facebook, good sir. And he says, RB Turner, go RB Turner. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here and cheering on some of your favorite drivers. Don't hesitate to pop into YouTube, Facebook. We'd love to hear you. And it was, Rickman Racing, corrected qualifying. Got some work cut out for me, he says, on YouTube. So we appreciate you guys jumping in and saying hello here tonight on Turn 1. Taking a look, again, back through the running order. We're starting to get a little racy. We've mentioned before the come-and-goer mentality. Well, this track is going to certainly see that. And now we see Mike Montesi actually in a little bit of trouble. With just a moment ago, he was sitting in that third-place spot, but now Johnny Barker, Doug Roth, able to get around him as they work to complete lap number 20 here at Darlington. And that's a sign that, again, if you don't get it collected up pretty easily and pretty quickly, everybody's going to pounce. It is difficult to pass here in this too tough to tame Darlington Raceway. And everybody is looking for every opportunity they can. They're going to drive through that hole, and Mike Montesi's going to fall back to 5th. Getting racy back here. That's DeForge, and that's the O2. I love that font color there on RB Turner's car. Oh, and big wall contact there. That was Cody DeForge. That car just did not turn, and maybe likely a little bit of a too fast quarter entry. That's going to send the 69 into the corner, or into the wall there in turn 2. He's going to get it collected back up. Tyler Lemon's going to take his time here. Not going to push the issue too hard, but he's going to look underneath him and going to have the corner off speed. He's also going to get underneath him. Watch the 69 here on the outside. He's going to have to back out of it pretty early. He's going to pinch Lemon right down to the bottom. That gets tight through 1 and 2, but that saves that spot. Lemon's not going to be able to hold that car down there. And then he's going to roll out of it and then come down the backstretch. They're getting just as racy back here behind him. That's the 34 of Charles Woods. Shannon Woods right there, as well as Rick Kennedy Jr. battling it out back here. This is back here for 14th, 15th place. Has that 47 of Kennedy Jr. is going to slide by Shannon Wood for that spot. Looking through the rest of the field, you're not really missing too much. Everybody riding single file. Joey Jatina sitting 2.5 seconds on back on Glenn Campbell. Right now, Glenn is that tire fall off has not been anywhere as extreme as it has for the rest of the field, but that just shows you the advantage at times Clean Air can provide, and he's controlling the pace here as he is cracked just under 100 laps remaining here tonight at Darlington. Let's get a chance. We haven't done this in a hot minute. Let's ride on board with one of these drivers. Let's pick the 32 car. Up 7 spots on the night. Running 8. It's Richard Swavely as he takes a couple laps here around Darlington. You can hear these cars starting to get a little tight. Swavely having to feather that throttle through 1 and 2 there while we were riding on board. And everybody, that tire wear starting to come to fruition for these drivers. But that has not slowed down our leader. That's Glenn Campbell just on cruise control there in the 44. That 44 Trans-Service Chevrolet, as he works off the corner, just making it look pretty easy. 3.5 seconds or 3.2 seconds back to Joey Jettina. Doug Roth has worked himself up into the top 3 for the first time tonight. He's up there sitting in third, up 2 spots. And then Montesi was able to grab at least a spot back. Johnny Parker slid back to 5th here while we were riding on board, and Montesi settled in there back into that 4th place spot. As we see now, where did we just miss something up front? We did. That was Doug Roth getting by Joey Jettina. This is happening quick here. And like I mentioned, the majority of these passes you're going to see either right here out of turn 2 or right on the outside of turn 4. The corner is really difficult to make a pass here. You'll see some drivers trying it like right there. That was, who was that? Was that Joe Hudson? And it was Mr. Hudson in that 23 Chevrolet, sliding right underneath, right before quarter entry, and that was Ron Holyfield. Likely giving up. He saw Hudson knowing he was coming and wanted to get that pass done before they got too deep into the corner there. Speaking of Joe Hudson, I think it's really important to mention this race would not be broadcasted tonight unless it wasn't for Joe Hudson stepping up and sponsoring this full season of this limited Xfinity series here for the Sim 500 group. So special shout out and thank you to Joe Hudson as he, again, allowing and giving the opportunity to have this race broadcast free of charge for these drivers and allowing them to showcase some of the immense talent that lives throughout the Sim 500 community. Everywhere out back, mostly single file. We're actually going to start to see some cars potentially come into the equation of being lapped on track. That's Campbell, and you see, we're there with James Smith. He's sitting 24th right now, but just behind him there is our leader. That's Campbell coming down the backstretch within about 20 car lengths or so, about half a straightaway, and Campbell's going to get there. And how Campbell navigates that, keep in mind, these drivers are not going to take this lap down very easily. They shouldn't either. They're racing to stay on a lead lap. Pit stops are going to be coming here in the next 20-25 laps. And, you know, if you feel like you've got any speed in the car, you do not want to give it up here. And Campbell's going to have to work for it. So we'll see how he has to address that as he works through the lap traffic that's going to be coming up here in another lap or so. Really coming into frame now. That's Smith right up against the wall there. But once Campbell catches him, it's going to be a couple other cars as well that he's going to have to address pretty quickly. While we are under the green flag condition here, as Campbell's actually going to get by Smith fairly quickly right there to 1 and 2, but he's going to catch that lap traffic right here in the middle of the corner. Quite a bit faster Campbell is, but he's going to be able to hold it off and maybe be able to work it down the front straight as it looks like the 11's going to pull over and let Campbell squeeze by. Very respectful move there by the 11 car as they work off into the corner here. Let's talk about the points situation for these drivers right now. In the lead is actually that driver right there on the very bottom. That's the 0-2 of the RB Turner. That driver is in the points lead currently for the Xfinity or the limited Xfinity series here. And he's up by 5 over Tyler Lemon. And then Mike Montesi, Stoney Binfield, Richard Swavely in the top 5. And Swavely only 22 points off the top spot. So a tight championship battle for this relatively short limited Xfinity series season here with Sim 500. So far, all that chatter about lap traffic and how it was going to play out, well, Glenn Campbell has made pretty quick work of it, not letting it get in his way too much here. Taking a look back through the remainder of the field. Tyler Lemon's on cruise control. So is Cody DeForge. Remember, that driver's made pretty significant right side wall contact, but has settled into that 13th place position. And then it looks like that it is. That is, who was that? That is the 12, rather, of, goodness, who was that just drove by? That was John Higman Jr.? Nope, that's the 12. Who's running the 12 right now? The 12, that's Paul Cremery, and he's actually been down pit road. That driver came down pit road like number 28, and those newer tires really starting to shine. He's actually going to work himself around now the 60 car, but not on the lead lap, so that is not for position at the moment out of those drivers. But this spot would be, that's the 54. We're not mentioning Jimmy Coleman here tonight yet. Riding around in that 54 car. He is closing in on the back bumper of John Higman Jr. Another driver we've not talked about tonight so far. That's Chris Roberge. That driver's up 10 spots on the night, sitting 16th. And driven his way through the field quite a bit here as we see Cody DeForge hit pit road for the first time tonight, the 69. He's going to come to the attention of his crew. That beaten up Toyota of DeForge going to have to maybe get a couple seconds of repairs wrapped up here in the pits. We saw him make pretty extensive wall contact about 10 laps ago as pit stops now underway tonight at Darlington for the Limited Xfinity Series group right here on turn 1. I would imagine it, like I mentioned, a fuel run being about 45 laps for these drivers. Lap times have certainly come way back now. Remember, the fastest times we were talking about was 29.9s, 29.8s, 29.7s. Well, lap times are now already, they're 2 seconds off the fast pace of their third and fourth lap out. So certainly some of these drivers are feeling the tire and ready to strap on some new rubber on these ARCA machines here as the lights come on. We're working lap number 39, coming to 40 here of 120 at Darlington. Going to be about 80, about 80 laps to go here. We should see pit stops really start to pick up in the next 5, 6, 7 laps. That's, who is that right there? That's the 32 of Swavely trying to hold back there the 25. That is Ron Holyfield. Holyfield all over the bumper there, but really had nowhere to go. Swavely is actually up now 10 spots on the night. Up to 5th here. He's having a really decent run this late run here. Another driver, as we talked about earlier, is Tyler Lemon in that championship battle. Whoa, and Joey Jettina's going to come down the pit road. Get it slowed up. For the 14 car, Jettina is going to hit pit road for fuel and service. But we were going to talk about Tyler Lemon. He's up 14 spots on the night. He's in that championship battle. And he is going to be a factor as he's going to let the 12 slide by. That's Paul Crumry. Again, on those newer tires, so significant pace there being made up by Crumry, but that is not for position. And Lemon sitting comfortably in that 8th spot, up 14 so far here tonight. Jettina just now getting to his box. That long trip down pit road here at Darlington. That's going to put him at least a lap, if not 2 down here for this group. And that's just a factor you have to think about. And you hope it stays green and gives you an opportunity to cycle through. Another driver hoping that things cycle through is the 47 of Rick Kennedy. He's going to hit pit road now and come to the attention for the first time tonight of his crew as Campbell now working by the 44. And that was a little tighter than I think, that's Campbell working by the 04. The 44, a little tighter than I think he would have liked to have had. Close up on the bumper of the 04 quite quickly. As we see, that's Mike Montesi in the 4 car. He's going to come down pit road. And John Higman Jr. is also going to hit it. So let's talk about what this means. Some of these quick drivers, Montesi, Higman, Rick Kennedy, and others coming down pit road. Cody DeForge also coming down pit road. Well, keep in mind, these newer tires are going to give these drivers about 2 seconds a lap, faster lap times than our leader. Campbell's going to stay out, though, hoping to see this work out to his advantage, but you can't be out there too long because the gap that these drivers had, think about it at times, Roth and Jatina had about a 2 to 3 second gap. All it takes is one lap of them at pace on new tires, and they're going to make that time up for on Glenn Campbell. And that could be a factor here once this all cycles through. But on the other hand, Campbell is holding off. He wants to take those tires as late as he possibly can through the race, and that'll also give him the advantage as those other drivers are starting to come up in lap times. His are going to be a little bit lower. Ron Holyfield's going to hit pit road. Jimmy Coleman in the 54 is also coming down for the first time tonight, as everybody's kind of dip-diving and diving all over the racetrack there. That's Johnny Barker. He's going to hit pit road as well for tires and fuel. Johnny coming down the backstretch. I'm not sure his box was down there. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Richard Swavely, he's going to hit pit road from the top 10. We're starting to see about half the field cycle through on pit stops so far here. And here comes our leader, Glenn Campbell. Gets it slowed up. Oh, missed the pit entry. Nearly got into the barrels there, and I'm not sure that was going to be a safe pit road entry. We'll have to check on that, but Campbell coming down pit road in the 44. Led them all so far here tonight, but not this one. Doug Roth is going to take the lead as these drivers are going to drive around the 43. Those folks have got those newer tires, but Doug Roth is going to stay out and lead one. Kevin Stone's also down pit road for the first time tonight. Joe Hudson. Doug Roth is going to hit pit road. Joe Hudson's going to now inherit the lead. He's going to lead a lap here, bringing it all the way around that 23 as we are deep into pit stops here. Lap number 48 of 120 for the limited Xfinity Series group right here on turn one. Doug Roth on pit road. Tyler Lemon, he's going to come down pit road. I know we also had some RB Turner fans in chat. Well, he is electing to stay out. He's moved up to second place. Now, we went from only having about half the field through pit stops to 8 cars remain left to pit here tonight. And who's going to break with it? It's not going to be Hudson this last time. He's going to stay out another lap. And he's going to move to the inside, let the 69 drive on by. Again, those lap deltas being so much different. Speaking of Hudson's last time by, a 31.7. That just shows you how different it is. RB Turner, Chris Roberts. Roberts is going to hit pit road in the 98 car. Pitting from third. Eli Raposa, also, he's going to hit pit road. Coming down the backstretch, so I guess some of these drivers have boxes on the backstretch of the Darlington racetrack here. Here comes Joe Hudson from the lead. This is going to nearly cycle us through. The 23 of Joe Hudson's going to hit pit road. So will RB Turner. As Roberts, yes, is on the backstretch for that stop. And Joe Hudson now going to come down pit road. Now, I do believe this is going to cycle this lead out to Joey Gentina, the boss man, the number 14 car. He's going to get caught up here coming down the backstretch. He should cycle through as the leader. We'll pay close attention to this. It's not official just yet. It's going to happen here, though, as he works out of 3 and 4. No pressure out back, so Gentina on cruise control right now. And he is he's going to pass RB Turner. Joe Hudson right there did not lead that last lap, but now he's going to take the lead. And Gentina in the 14 car out front here tonight at Darlington. And so let's talk about what this means for some of these drivers now that we've seen the entire field work through green flag pit stops. Gentina right now sitting 2.3 seconds out front of second place Doug Roth. That's a pretty big gap, but something to note, Gentina came down pit road on lap number 40. Doug Roth been down pit road lap number 47. Mike Montesi down pit road lap number 42. So the driver, all these guys have got to worry about is the driver of the 23. That's Joe Hudson. That's cycled out in his favor. He's going to come back to 5th. And he's going to have about 9 laps better tires than some of the drivers in front of him. So we'll see that pay off long run here and how that's all going to shake out. Speaking of, so as this cycled through, it looks like Glenn Campbell, I do believe let's take a look. Glenn Campbell did, unfortunately, get a penalty on pit road entrance. He actually spent almost that additional minute on pit road. So that 44 car dominated here tonight at Darlington. Took the pole, led all the laps there up until the pit stops, but costly pit road entry mistake. going to affect that 44. He's still got time to make it up, but you're going to have to get creative quick, and he's going to need some luck along the way. As we go back up front, Jatina. That gap he had back to Doug Roth, well, that's shrunk by a second while we were talking about Glenn Campbell. And that's likely because Jatina's, he's no stranger to this. They've been racing like this for decades with this Sim 500 group in a lot of ways. And Jatina looking to maybe conserve a little bit of tire. He knows you gotta make it make sense. You got to be there at the end to win. And, well, Doug Roth, while he's on full push, Jatina has just got that car just easing it off into the corners here. And we're going to continue to follow this story because Doug Roth is on the move. Went from 2.5 seconds to now 7/10 in about 3 or 4 laps. So Roth is certainly going to be a factor here. But what is Jatina doing? Is he looking for pit strategy here on fuel? Is he thinking he just needs to save and baby the tires? He's going to feel... He does feel a little bit of pressure, and here comes Roth right up to him. Last time by Jatina, 30.74 to Ross, 30.27, so half a second a lap quicker. Doug Roth, will see if Jatina turns the wick back up or if the 43 of Roth is going to get by him. Another driver that was able to capitalize and has come out looking pretty sharp is that 32 car of Richard Swavely. He's sitting up 12 spots in that top 3 right now. So not a bad pit sequence for Swavely. As we look a little further back, it looks like a little bit of a battle back here. That's Jimmy Coleman. Ron Hollyfield were side by side there for a moment. We missed it, but they got it all sorted out. As we look back up front now, Jatina last time by a 30.76. Doug Roth a 30.54. So maybe starting to plateau a little bit, Doug Roth. And Swavely was faster than everybody pretty much in that top 4 group of 30.47. Another driver who's really got the heat on right now, but again, he's got the newest tires, is Joe Hudson. Up to 5th right now, and last time by, he ran a 30.25 to everybody else's 31.1s, 31.4s. So some lightning coming out of Joe Hudson as he is quickly gaining time there on the group in front of him. So with these drivers coming down pit road between 40 and 45.50, I do believe that means they're going to have to pit. They're going to have to pit at some point here one more time before it's all said and done. For fuel, they also have another set of tires in the pits available to them. So that is just something that they will have to consider and strategize as Doug Roth there squeezes by Joey Jatina on the exit of turn number 2 and working down the backstretch. We're going to have a new leader here. Lap number 59 coming to 60 is going to be Doug Roth. He's going to send it all the way down there into 3 and 4. And then right down to the bottom on exit. I'm sorry, that's 1 and 2 down there, coming down the backstretch. Doug Roth, last down pit road here, lap number 47. He's going to lead some of his first laps of the night at Darlington. The lady in black, the new leader of the 43. Looking through the rest of the field, everybody's pretty much just on cruise control right now. So far, it's been clean and green here at Darlington as we're closing in on the halfway point of tonight's race. I'm Sean Fitz. Welcome to Turn 1, everybody. Again, new group here with the limited Xfinity Series on Turn 1. I'm glad to be on board for this group. A quick 6 races remaining in this series, and really excited to be calling this group. Again, a bunch of new names coming to Turn 1, and well, if you haven't already done so, make sure you send me a message. I see a bunch of folks with some strong fan bases over here on the comments. So I can appreciate that greatly. There's a car down there on the apron. That is the 10. Mr. 10, you are... Oh, goodness. Who was that? That slid down there on the bottom. Not sure exactly who that was. That was a car, I believe, a lap down at minimum there on the bottom of the racetrack. And just slid out of the leader's way. Doug Roth, he's now out to 1.2 over Richard Swavely. Joey Jatina, though, has fallen back to third. And then Joe Hudson. Remember, he's got those lap times and those those tires so much better. He is nearly a full second faster than Jatina lap over lap. As we see the 14, he's going to give way. He knows those drivers behind him are so much quicker. That's going to include Glenn Campbell. Campbell now racing, trying to race his way back onto the lead lap. He is sitting 16th at the moment, but you see him right there sitting just in front of third place Joe Hudson, as things are starting to get a little racy now. Again, those come and goers all over the racetrack. That is not Hudson, and things are getting crowded here. A corner exit. That was Hudson, had to check up. So did Jatina, as they were working around that lap traffic of the 46. As Campbell now is working right to the bumper here, the 32. Again, not for position. He is looking to try to unlap himself, while Doug Roth, he is now seeing a bunch of lap traffic out front of him here. That's the 34, the 69, and really nowhere to go for Roth, and this is going to be costly. He is going to see Swavely really gain some time up here. Roth looking to the inside. Oh, a big wiggle there out of the 34. Everybody's going to get collected, including Doug Roth. That's going to bring the caution out for the first time tonight. Your leader involved in a lap traffic incident here for the first time, bringing out the yellow flag at Darlington. A pretty big an incident here. We kind of saw this starting to build up. The 34 a little nervous. Roth all over the bumper. Actually, maybe a little bit of a tag there out of the 34. Then the 69 goes up. Roth, I don't think he can get the car checked up. And unfortunately, he's going to meet the wall there in turn number 1. And that's going to bring the yellow flag out for the first time tonight here for the Limited Xfinity Series group. And that's going to give everybody an opportunity to catch their breath. It's been a long green flag run here, and I suspect we'll see some pit strategy at play. We'll cover that and more when we come back and get ready to go green flag racing. You're watching Turn 1. Pace car lights are off. Richard Swavely's going to inherit the lead. Joe Hudson, Tyler Lemon, Joey Chatina, Jimmy Coleman. Your top 5 here on turn 1 for the limited Xfinity Series. Brought to you by Sim 500. On Thursday night, race a little bit of racing action here. Glad you're with us. And yeah, this is interesting. Nobody came down pit road. And I think they all know that you got to come down at least once for fuel. Maybe trying to get to a window here. I don't know. We do know they got a set of tires in the pits. We're going to follow this story all the way down to the restart zone. And your first restart of the night. We're back racing at Darlington. Down off into 1 and 2, Swavely, Joey Chatina. Hudson's going to fall into third. Lemon, Montesi, Coleman, Stone, Turner, Kennedy, and Chris Roberge. Your top 10. Mark Schrader, he's under a little bit of pressure. Oh, the caution's out once again. Another incident a little bit further back here. This looks like this involved DeForge and Higbee. Let's take a look. Higley, rather. Oh, the 69 and the 11 get together. That is a big hit there. Let's take one more look. This is just some tight racing. The 69 just getting on the side of the 11, the 41. Nowhere to go. And then that gets the 10 involved as well. Roth is going to slide through there, but that is the byproduct of some really tight racing on a restart. Going to bring the caution out here once again. For the second time, cautions breed cautions, but Swavely, he certainly doesn't mind that. Leading some laps here as RB Turner is going to come down pit road. Rick Kennedy's also going to come down pit road. Doug Roth sitting pit road. Johnny Barker, Jeff K, Cody DeForge. Cody DeForge, Eli Raposa. James Smith's also hit pit road. John Fowler's been there. As we are under caution here quickly. Again, under caution for the second time here tonight at Darlington. See Robin Lemon checking in on YouTube. Robin, thank you so much for being here. Tyler's not doing a bad job so far here tonight. He's worked himself through pit sequence and through racing action all over the racetrack, sitting up in 4th. Now that driver there in that 29 car looking to have a strong showing. He's got his mom watching in chat, so good luck to Tyler Lemon. Again, under caution here once again at Darlington under the lights. We're going to take this opportunity to step aside. We'll get a sip ourselves and reset. We'll be right back. You're watching Turn 1. Pace car lights are off. The 32, the 14, the 23, the 29, and the 4. Montesi, your top 5 as we get ready to try this restart here once again with this group. They're going to come back green flag racing lap number 73. So what is that? That's going to be 37 to go here at Darlington. They're going to click by pretty quick, so don't blink. I'm kidding. Please blink. That'd be unhealthy. Pace car down pit road. Restart zone they go. Green flag back out. Swavely gets them rolling. It's going to be a tight battle here. Hudson's going to send it off into the inside of the 14. Joe Hudson up to P2. Joey Chatina's going to hold on to that third place spot. Everybody else mostly single filed out as they work down the backstretch. We've got some cars side by side. That's Doug Roth back here. That's RB Turner. Charles Woods in this traffic. That's the 34. He was involved in that incident. That's Woods. And then up here in front of Higman is Schrader Holyfield. They're sitting side by side. They get that sorted out as they come across the stripe. Remember, keep in mind, Glenn Campbell had that incident on pit road. He led a bunch of laps, brought home the pole here, and he's moved himself up to 12th, and I do believe he is on the lead lap here. So that is a factor as Joe Hudson, as we look back up front, just took the lead. The new leader of the night at Darlington is the 23, Joe Hudson, as they work lap number 75 here tonight. While we've got the opportunity to ride on board with some drivers under some tight racing conditions, let's do it. With the 54, Chad Coleman. I'm sorry, it's Jimmy Coleman, rather. And that 54, he's up a couple spots tonight. And going to start, he's looking to challenge Mike Montesi to crack into the top 5. Those tires a little cooled off. It's giving some of these drivers a little bit of grip. As Hudson out front, 1 second over Richard Swavely. Joey Jatila sitting third. Tyler Lemon, Michael Montesi in your top 5. Jimmy Coleman sitting 6th. Kevin Stone, Chris Roberge, and Glenn Campbell, Ron Holyfield, your top 10. Campbell on a tear. Remember, we were just talking about that driver. Well, now he is already pressuring the 98 car. He's looking for an opportunity to squeeze by. Again, one of the fastest on tracks here tonight has proven that through the pole and leading a good portion of laps early. Campbell looking for another spot, and he's going to drive it down deep to the inside. This is going to require him to use a little bit of that tire right there to the inside through 3 and 4. He's not going to be able to get that pass done. He's going to make contact with the 98. Campbell puts the 98 of Chris DeBorge in the wall, Roberts in the wall. Able to get by, though. That's going to put him up to that 8th place spot. Then it's going to be a 3-car run. That's Stone, Coleman, Montesi. He drives off 2 with a pretty strong run, but Montesi's going to be down there in the bottom. He's not going to be able to really make a whole lot of room here, make a lot of momentum up. Montesi right down to the bottom of the racetrack, and then now the 17. Oh, and the caution's going to be out. Chris Roberge and others involved. We've got Doug Roth spun here. And then I can mention Roberge involved. This is a multi-car accident. Eli Raposa involved as well. Let's take a look and find out what may have brought this out. I think this actually happened in front of the 46. Yeah, it certainly did. He's going to run off into it here. That was a pretty tough one. Not a ton of place to go. Let's take a look at Chris Roberge and what is it from that driver's perspective. The 98, oh, he just got into once again. They got collected and then got into the side of Doug Roth. Nowhere to go. The 98 just not having a good run in the last couple laps. And unfortunately, going to get turned around here to bring out the 3rd caution of the night. They've got caught up to the pace car. Joe Hudson is your leader as they work here. That's we're going to be working lap 81. We'll go back racing with about 25 to go. We'll call, 35 to go here. If I could do the math right, I certainly can. About 35 to go. We're going to step aside, reset everything, come back for more racing action right here. You're watching Turn 1. Pace car lights are off, and we've actually seen a mix here of folks come down pit road during this caution. Jimmy Coleman hit pit road. So did Mike Montesi, John Higman, Charles Woods, Ron Holyfield, and others. Pretty much the second half of the lead lap electing to come down pit road. We're going to see some tires race through this field a little bit. Meanwhile, your top three, they've not been down pit road. Top four, rather, not been down pit road here in quite a while. Closing in on 50 laps of racing action on those tires. As they go back, green flag, racing into the restart zone. Hudson gets them rolling. Swavely, Lemon, they're now going to be side by side for that second place spot. Lemon's going to drive it right down there to the inside of the 29. Not going to give that spot up. Tyler Lemon's going to move up to P2. Richard Swavely's going to slide into third. Chatina fourth. Campbell in fifth. Man, what a recovery out of the 44, and he is looking to drive forward as best as he possibly can. R.B. Turner sitting at 6 right now. Rick Kennedy Jr. going to look at the inside of Turner. Things are going to get tight right there on corner exit. They're going to squeeze through. That's the 47, moving himself up into the top 6. And then back here a little bit further, that is the 60 of John Higman Jr., Jimmy Coleman. They were side by side there for a moment. Oh, Higman has a big moment coming out of turn 2. He's going to lose 2 spots now. And could potentially fall out of the top 10. He's going to smack the wall and really hammer it up there. He's going to lose a ton of time. He's going to nearly come to a stop on the racetrack. So we look a little further back here, and that was Campbell sitting in there deep on Joey Chatina. And then Chatina's going to make contact with the wall. These older tires starting to feel the pressure. Here comes Mike Montesi with the new ones. They're going to start coming to temp here as we've got folks with some new rubber on these ARCA machines in the limited series, limited Xfinity series here. Campbell, I was going to say Campbell barely held it off the wall right there in front of Joey Chatina. But now sitting up there, P4, he's not been down pit road since lap 46. Hudson, who is our leader, came down on 49, so equal tires. Oh, we've got a car deep down into the fence. That was Montesi. He may have had a bit of a moment coming off the corner. Looks like Ron Holyfield may have also had a bit of a moment. Montesi falls out of the top 10. A big shakeup now off that turn 2 action there. Hudson out front. Tyler Lemon just rotting in cruise control right now. Don't need to pressure too hard here as Campbell. He's going to look to the inside here of the 47. I'm sorry, that's Campbell. Yeah, I'm sorry, no. Let me take that back, rather. That was the 54 of Coleman going to squeeze by the 44. And all of a sudden, Campbell stopped. That momentum going forward has started to come to a stop. Well, that's because Jimmy Coleman, he's got those newer tires, and he is on the march forward. Speaking of the march forward there, that was another driver coming forward there. That was the 47 of Rick Kennedy. Another driver's got not as new as tires as Coleman does, but newer. And now those folks are on the hunt here to the front, and they're going to come across the stripe. This is going to be 30 laps to go here tonight for the limited Xfinity Series on turn 1. Lemon starting to close in on the bumper of Hudson. Both these drivers working with some fairly old tires at this point. Nearly 40 full laps of racing action on these tires. These drivers are starting to feel it as they are looking ahead, and they can't get caught up with racing each other too hard because, I tell you what, Rick Kennedy and Jimmy Coleman, they're on the move. Coleman's going to use up the bottom of the racetrack. What a dive move there. We have not seen anybody do that so far tonight, but Coleman, since it underneath that white stripe line, makes that pass. And is going to move into the top 3. Jimmy Coleman in the top 3 for the first time tonight under green flag conditions as Tyler Lemon continues to hunt to the back bumper. Oh, Joe Hudson's going to make hard contact with the wall. Coming out of turn 4, then move down to try to block the advance of the 29. But Lemon's going to get into the backside of the 23. Sent it in there deep. Lemon did, and now he's falling backwards. Here comes Jimmy Coleman, and he's on the prowl. He's looking for the lead with those new tires. Rick Kennedy on the move as well. It is getting racy up front here as Joe Hudson now under pressure. The 47, the 54, with those newer tires and those faster lap times, looking to make a move here as the laps continue to wind down at Darlington. Taking a look a little further back, everybody's mostly single filed out. You're not missing anything back there as Lemon. Oh no, Tyler Lemon's gonna come down pit road. This is gonna be under green flag conditions. As we go back up front, Hudson, Coleman seemed to have stabilized just a little bit last time by. Hudson ran a 31.21. Coleman ran a 31.17. So those lap times starting to stabilize a little bit as Richard Swavely comes down pit road. Again, Tyler Lemon, he's in his box. It's going to be a costly green flag pit stop for those two drivers. But now they can make it the rest of the way, and they're going to be on those newer tires. Some strategy at play for some of these folks is now Hudson's going to be slow off turn 2. Here comes the inside look from the 54 of Jimmy Coleman. Not going to be able to push his nose through there and open that door as much as he would like. And now we take a look back. Kevin Stone, another driver on some of those newer tires. He's starting to pressure Rick Kennedy Jr. a little bit here for that third place spot. The entire pack of leaders working around the car, lap down. That's the 46. Hudson's deep down to the inside. That car may have been a little out of shape coming off of 2. And now on the outside, Coleman's going to challenge. What a move! New leader is going to be the 54 of Jimmy Coleman here with just 24 laps to go. Hudson sitting P2, Rick Kennedy sitting P3, and then that's the 6. Getting by Rick Kennedy there. That's a couple cars a lap down, racing their way forward. Kind of follow that just a little bit as this is a mix of cars trying to race themselves. That's Johnny Barker, race themselves back a lap back up and get on the lead lap so they can start passing for position. That is not for position right now. The Johnny Barker, though, is one lap down, sitting in 10th. As we saw a little bit of smoke come off somebody towards the rear of the field coming off turn number 2. Everybody keeps it rolling here. With Jimmy Coleman out front, Joe Hudson sitting P2, Kevin Stone, it's Mark Schrader, Glenn Campbell starting to battle it out, and this is Campbell's car. Remember, keep in mind, he led the first full run, but had a costly pit road mistake to come down during the first cycle of green flag stops it. Now Campbell in a bit of a pickle here, and he's not been able to come down pit road. He's not taking tires, and I don't think he's got enough fuel to make it to the end, if I'm honest. So he's sitting 8th right now. And speaking of, there it is. Glenn Campbell's going to come down pit road. Now, he's only going to have, after he's up to speed, about 18 laps to chase down, get back on the lead lap, and get by our leader. I think that's just not going to be enough. He's going to need a caution fall in his favor. Meanwhile, Jimmy Coleman sitting on top of the pole here, sitting on top of the board so far. Sitting P2 as things are starting to get a little spicy back here. I think that's Joe Hudson. Yeah, he's coming down pit road. Final stop on the way for the 23. He's got to get that car rolled up. It looked a little out of shape down there on the apron. But he's going to get it slowed down. He's going to join Glenn Campbell for the tires and service, or the tires, fuel, and service from that crew. Mike Montesi is going to be credited right now with a P2 spot. He came down pit road. He's got what he's got and needs to hang on as best he possibly can. Remember, Montesi got out of shape about 10, 15 laps to go down the backstretch, but now all of a sudden being able to recover and get himself up to that P2 spot as we see Hudson Still in that box, getting that right sides put on. This is going to be a costly and, well, lengthy stop for him. Meanwhile, Jimmy Coleman, he's out front 3.5 seconds over Montesi. Then it's Kevin Stone. R.B. Turner is sitting fourth. Rick Kennedy is sitting fifth. Mark Schrader and Charles Woods, he's going to make a pit stop here. Some late race stops in the books coming up here. And then Josh Barker raced himself forward off of back onto the lead lap, or all but one car on the lead lap, and that's a pass there. He's going to get by Woods, who's down pit road. Barker's going to move up to 7th. Again, looking through the field, and it's pretty much a split strategy with a lot of these drivers, so it'll be really interesting to cover this as it winds on down. But so far, Jimmy Coleman, he's up 19 spots on the night. He's played it almost perfectly so far, but he needs to see, or he wants to see rather, this race go completely green all the way to the very end. And he is only 17 or about 16 and a half laps away from that happening. Mike Montesi is probably pretty happy considering the up and down night he's had. He just needs to hang on a little bit. Kevin Stone's right there. All these top three literally came down pit road at the same time, lap 81. R.B. Turner, he is sitting up here in that top 4 spot. Then Rick Kennedy sitting in 5th. Again, R.B. Turner and Kennedy came down pit road lap number 70. So a little bit of an older tire for those drivers. Meanwhile, Johnny Barker, he came down pit road on lap number 80 and kind of working for trying to get himself in a position. He wants to be back on the lead lap, but he's very possibly have himself a top 5 spot if this all plays out the way he'd like before it's all said and done. While we've got the chance, let's ride on board. Let's do it with R.B. Turner. He's sitting in that 4th spot. Let's go on board here with the 0-2 one more time before it's all said and done here at Darlington. Here, R.B. Turner really having to feather that throttle, sitting in that 4th place spot. Those tires really starting to wear for the driver of the 0-2, but just needs to hang on here. 12 more laps. And speaking of hanging on, Coleman continuing to be out front. No pressure really out back. 3.5 seconds back to the 4-car. Mike Montesi, Kevin Stone sitting 3rd, and he's even further back, about a 4.2 second gap. So everybody's just really chasing Mike Montesi at this point. We will see if Kevin Stone can get up there. Keep in mind, if a caution comes out, that's going to shake everything up as Glenn Campbell, he came down pit road lap 99, so he's got some really fresh tires, and he's been very quick here tonight. Joe Hudson, he's sitting 11th right now, also a lap down, came down pit road lap number 100. Also looking for an opportunity to get up there, maybe race for the end of this thing if a caution were to come out at the end of the race here, as Campbell's going to slide by the 47. One of the things that you've got to really think about is you can't be the caution, and I say that because we saw Hudson there. I think that got really tight for just a moment with a 47 of Kennedy. You've got to be approaching and closing in on these slower cars in front of you so much faster with those tires. You've got to keep that in mind, and make sure you have a path forward is why we see Hudson here. He's going to run down the 67 so much faster, and you just got to be able to predict where that driver's going to go so you can make that pass. Hudson's going to dive down deep to the inside, and he's going to have that spot made up by the end of the straightaway. But those are the types of things you've got to think about on these newer tires, especially on this mixed bag of strategies that the rest of this field is sitting on currently. Coleman out front in that 54 car. Playing the strategy just about as good as he possibly can. Had a little bit of luck with the flags, and everybody kind of maintaining, being on their best behavior. And well, he's going to come across the stripe. He's going to see that 8 to go from the flag man here for the Lady in Black. The Too Tough to Tame racetrack here at Darlington. On turn 1, this is the limited Xfinity Series brought to you by Sim 500. Glad you're with us. Thank you so much for being here. Some new names coming to Sim 500, including our leader, Jimmy Coleman, R.B. Turner, Rick Kennedy Jr., Johnny Barker, Tyler Lemon, and others. As things are starting to do a racing back here. This is for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Anyway, so, but that's, again, we talked about it earlier, a little bit of an I-rating cap for this. 2,800 and below as we see everybody start to work around the 17 there. And, but yeah, you've got to be under 2,800 I-rating. You come out here and race with very like-minded, like-talented drivers, and man, it is shown up here tonight. We've seen a stretch strategies and thought processes and driving ability out of these drivers here for the limited series. And, well, they're going to have a limited schedule as well as that is, who is that? That is the 32 there. Squeezed by that Swavely. Going to squeeze by Montesi, but he is the first car a lap down there. He's going to have a little bit of the ground to make up, but they're going to slide by Kennedy and Schrader. Next target will be R.B. Turner, but again, not for position. But a limited schedule remains for this group. Only after tonight, 5 dates. We have the next 2 weeks, then we're going to take the Thanksgiving week off. Then I believe it's, pretty much a dead run right there all the way through December. So make sure you tune in. Hit subscribe if you're on YouTube. Like the page. Follow us on Facebook if you could. And get connected anytime we go live for racing action. You can also find the Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series Monday night. That's that show. That's going to continue on here for the next month or so. Well, alongside Kevin England, we look forward to bringing you the premier Cup Series action of Sim 500 right here on Monday nights at 8:30 Eastern and 7:30 Central on turn 1. 4 laps to go, and Jimmy Coleman's got him covered right now. 6+ seconds over Mike Montesi, and Montesi starting to feel a little bit of pressure. That was Kevin Stone, sent the nose in there just a little bit. Stone looking for one more spot before it's all said and done. He would like to be able to bring home that second place finish. And here comes the 44. That's Campbell again. That driver came down pit road on lap 99. He's going to race himself forward. He's going to have some pretty decent closing speed here, but he's out of time and out of laps to potentially get back up front. As we look at our leader, again, he has him covered, a 6+ second gap out back to Mike Montesi. He's going to come across the stripe. That is the 2 to go signal for the driver of the 54. And Kevin Stone looks like he's backed it off the loud pedal just a little bit, not able to get back to the bumper of the 4, but now Campbell's gone by. We'll see if Kevin Stone's able to do anything here with about a lap and a half of racing action to go. Out of 3 and 4. The white flag is going to be out. Can Jimmy Coleman make the pit strategy work? He's going to have 4 corners to do it. White flag is out one more time around here at Darlington. Down at 1 and 2, free and clear. Again, no pressure out back. 6.5 second gap on Mike Montesi. What an impressive run here from Jimmy Coleman. He worked the strategy in his favor, and never looked back. The driver of the 54, Jimmy Coleman, is your winner here tonight at Darlington. What a wild race in the books for the Lady in Black. The Too Tough to Tame racetrack here in Darlington. And Jimmy Coleman's going to claim that victory. Mike Montesi's going to finish P2. Kevin Stone, RB Turner, rather, Mark Schrader, your top 5. We're going to step aside. We'll bring you some post-race coverage right after this. You're watching Turn 1.
Yeah, pretty lucky there to finish where I did because I probably didn't have but a 7th place car, so I will certainly take it.
Mike, we saw tonight a varying degree of strategies in the books here for many different drivers. What is it? What was your thought coming into tonight that was going to make you a contending top 10 car? Did you have a strategy in mind that you needed to get to a specific number regardless of how the cautions fell, or was it just you're going to take it as it comes to you here?
Yeah, I was just going to take it as it came. I thought I was going to be better than I was in the first run. I burned up the right front on the start, so and it killed me the whole run. And I just decided after that I was just going to take it real easy and get what I got, and that's how I lucked into that 2nd place.
Well, Mike, as I mentioned, a really solid points night here for you tonight. And bringing home P2 at Darlington, it's going to feel at least a little good here. Congratulations. Thanks for the time tonight, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks, Bob.
And then with that, we will quickly talk to our race winner. That's Jimmy Coleman. Jimmy, congratulations. What a wild night at Darlington for you. Played the strategy almost perfectly. You started back there, 19th, 20th, and raced your way forward. Walk me through your evening.
Yeah, it's kind of one of them. I didn't get to turn many laps before I got in here, so I kind of wanted to start in the back, get the feel of everything, and really it was a little nerve-wracking at first. I wasn't expecting it to be as loose as it was right off the bat. I about lost it on lap 2, so. But once I kind of got the car up under me, I kind of got in a good rhythm, and shout out to everybody here. I mean, we had a long green flag run. I can't remember how many laps it was, but big shout out to all them. But kind of started getting the feel for it there at the beginning.
Jimmy, we saw, I was just talking to Mike Montesi about this, but varying degrees of strategy all over the racetrack here tonight. Did you have a plan in mind, looking at the lap count, the number of tires in the pits? What was your thoughts coming in here tonight? And obviously the qualifying effort probably wasn't where you wanted to be, but walk me through what your thought on strategy was and ultimately be able to make the right call at the right time to put you out front and allow you to walk away.
Yeah, I was kind of shooting for that, probably 40, 45 range. I think we only had 2 sets, so I was trying to spread it out just right. I think I went 45 the first one, and kind of got moved up a little bit. And then really when that caution, I can't remember what lap that caution came out, but it's kind of one of them. I decided I was just going to take a gamble. I seen some of them stayed out. I was like, well, I'm going to come in and get fresh tires and see how it works out. And it kind of worked in my favor a little bit. A little luck there, not going to lie.
Hey, sometimes you take those. And Jimmy, am I looking at this right? Is this your first race in this series?
Yeah, in this series, yes. I'm a OG Sim 500 guy, but this is my first race in this series. I've kind of trying to knock the dust off the wheel here in the past couple of weeks, trying to get everything going. So I'm glad to be back with these guys. I got a great group of guys in here.
Absolutely, and knock the dust off you did, and you could do it with a checkered flag. Congratulations on bringing it home here tonight at Darlington, and we appreciate the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jimmy Coleman, your winner here tonight at Darlington. Let's quickly talk to another driver up front that finished P3 here tonight. Not a bad result for Kevin Stone. Kevin, congratulations on the top 3. Walk me through your evening. It looked like you may have had something from Mike there towards the end. What was happening there and going through your mind the last 15 laps?
Yeah, it was crazy. That last pit stop we did under caution with 40 to go, I weren't sure if it was going to work out or not. If it stayed green, of course, it was going to work out for us, and it did. We were catching Mike there, but I just wasn't sure what I had left in it for tires. I didn't want to cause a big wreck, so I just kind of held on behind him there. We had some lap traffic that was trying to get their laps back on new tires, so I was just trying to keep it safe and come home in the top 3.
And that you did here, Kevin, tonight. Darlington's tough any night of the week, but, these cars are really fun from what I gathered to drive. I haven't had a chance to wheel them too much myself, but it seems a lot of folks really like this ARCA car. And tonight, we saw the tire wear come into factor, pit stop strategies just being all over the place. Is this a car and track combination that typically plays to your style? What is your preference, and what does it look like down the schedule here with 5 races remaining in the season?
To be honest, I've just started hitting it at Darlington the last couple races we've had here. Normally this track I just don't fare well at, but I've found something a little bit. I got to give a big shout out to actually Mike Montesi there, because he helped me a little bit in practice, telling me to not throttle up as much in the corner and save the tires, and it really helped out. I also got to give a shout out to Ron Holyfield, my teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kevin, listen, able to turn some tips and some tricks and figuring it out into a really solid finish here tonight. Congratulations on the top 3, and we appreciate you taking the time with us tonight, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, thanks, Sean. Thanks for the broadcast for Turn 1 and you. And also thanks a lot to Joe Hudson, who puts up the dollars for the broadcast, and Joey at Sim 500 for keeping the series going. Thanks.
Yep, Kevin Stone, P3 here tonight in Darlington. As we're going to wrap up race coverage. And again, a special shout out to Joe Hudson for being able to sponsoring this group and allowing these live broadcasts to happen here each and every week. On behalf of the league admins, I'm Sean Fitz. Appreciate you being here. We're going to see you next Thursday night for more limited Xfinity Series Cup action right here on Turn 1. And then Monday night, we return for the Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series alongside Kevin England for more Premier Cup racing on Monday nights. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you Monday. Bye-bye now.